Thank you for coming to the Straight From Me with Bryan Garner podcast YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications button. Thank you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
And welcome to episode number 5 of the Straight From Me with Bryan Garner podcast. You can reach me on the following social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search Straight From Me, and Twitter at Straight From Me 1. You can listen to me on most of your favorite podcast providers. Just a heads up, I have moved to a new hosting site, so if you're having issues finding me, go to my website, bgarnproductions.com. That's BGARN Productions.com. Go to the drop down on the upper left, click, and you'll find out where I'm at. On this show, we will look at world and national news, and I will give my opinions on what's going on out there in the world today. So sit back and let's go. We're going to start this off today with the national news, and of course, the killing of George Floyd by police officers in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the resulting civil unrest and destruction of businesses and properties all around the country. I'll start off by saying, usually I support the police all the time. I do, however, indeed feel the way that Mr. Floyd was treated was very wrong on many levels, especially in today's time. We all know by now what the video shows: the officer of the Minneapolis Police Department holding his knee over the back of the neck of Mr. Floyd for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. George Floyd died while lying on his stomach and complaining that he couldn't breathe and crying out to his deceased mother. That officer has been charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter in connection with his death. This all started when George Floyd allegedly used a counterfeit $20 bill at a store in Minneapolis. According to court documents, officers approached the car that Floyd was in along with 2 other people. Floyd was not cooperating with the 2 officers, which led to a struggle, and Floyd resisting being put into handcuffs and intentionally falling down, saying that he is not getting in the police car and wouldn't stand up. He finally stood up and was walked over to a nearby sidewalk and questioned by police. The officer then stood Floyd up again and attempted to put him in a squad car. Then Floyd resisted by stiffening up and told the officers he was claustrophobic. This is when the officer and another officer arrived on the scene. The officers tried to get Floyd into another squad car. Floyd once again stiffened up and refused to get in the car. While outside the car, that's when Floyd began complaining of trouble breathing. The officer then once again tried to get Floyd in the car. It's a little unclear to me if the officer pulled Floyd out of the car or Floyd simply fell down again. Regardless, Floyd ends up on the ground face down, and that is where the officer's knee was placed on the back of his neck. Floyd then really starts complaining about not being able to breathe and calling out to his deceased mother. Soon after that, Floyd stopped moving and died. In response, there has been protests all over the country, and in some of those protests, major problems have occurred. Americans have a constitutional right to have peaceful protests. What is not okay is what we're seeing, which is people being shipped in from all over the country, creating chaos, looting, fires, and causing all kinds of destruction. In Minneapolis, Atlanta, and New York, just to name a few cities, they've all said authorities have arrested many people that are from parts of the country that are not the cities that are protesting, which is a hallmark for hate groups like Antifa. After 3 nights of bad clashes with police, the National Guard has come into many of these cities to help the police get control of the streets again. According to the president, Antifa would be classified as a terrorist group. This is a great move. This group is all about spreading hate and destruction wherever it goes. As I said before, They're being held responsible for a lot of the burning of buildings and the riots and the violence. There are videos all over the internet that show pallets of bricks being brought in by this group to help incite the violence. Leave it to AOC to try and stir up the masses. She's using the protesting to try and push her socialist far left-wing agendas. She's basically giving a list of demands on her Instagram page, telling people not to give rest to protests unless they get Medicare for all, fair housing, and are being against poverty. All of these things she's saying is a human right, which is another word for free, and the usual junk that she pushes. But the kicker is she has a mask on hanging off of one ear while she's talking. But at the end of the clip, she actually coughs and doesn't even cough into her elbow, just off into the open air. Thank goodness she isn't too smart, or she may be a little dangerous. Joe Biden is at it again. He actually said, and I quote, "If the president had shut down a month earlier, then another 40 to 60,000 people would have been alive instead of dead. If he would have listened to people like me," still quoting Joe Biden here, back in January, saying, "We have a problem," never mind that there is a video proof of him saying, "This is no time for Donald Trump's record of xenophobia and fear-mongering." Biden also said on March 12th, banning all travel from Europe or any other part of the world may slow it, but as we've seen, it will not stop it. Travel restrictions based on favoritism and politics rather than the risk will be counterproductive. Here's more proof. Joe Biden also wrote in a USA Today op-ed on January 27th that travel bans during the Ebola epidemic would have been reactionary and would have made things much, much worse. Funny how your words can come back to haunt you these days. This is once again more proof that Democrats will do anything and say anything to get elected. The sad thing is that there are a lot of sheeple that will call you a liar in whatever name they can think of when you point out the obvious to them. This is yet another reason why Joe Biden is a weak candidate for the Democrats. The Hollywood elite can't keep their mouths shut. A growing number of these idiots are trying to start a movement of hashtag defund the police. I have another idea. Let them try and call the defunded police when they have some crazy person trying to do harm to them. You also have Brian Schatz, a senator from Hawaii, introducing an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act to try and discontinue the program that transfers, quote, military weaponry, unquote, to local police departments. Which makes a ton of sense, because we're all just love sitting back and watching our cities burn to the ground with no way to keep looters and rioters in check. You also have Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and most of the left giving their usual rhetoric, blaming Trump for all of this, saying that he has caused all this by the atmosphere he has created. I guess Obama didn't create the same atmosphere when he was president during the Baltimore and Ferguson riots. Not only have they blamed Trump for the riots, but they also blame, also white supremacists and Russia. Switching gears, a huge day for NASA as SpaceX launched from Cape Canaveral this past Saturday afternoon, sending 2 astronauts into space, making this the first Americans launched into space since July 8th of 2011. They actually docked with the space station on Sunday. I'm going to close by saying this. Everyone stay calm and stay strong. We'll get through this as a nation just like we always do. Don't let the injustice that happened to Mr. Floyd cloud your judgment. And please don't break the laws. Use your constitutional right to have a peaceful protest. If you see things happening, get involved and defuse the situation, or get yourself out of the area until the cops can get there. That's going to wrap it up for today. Make sure you go to my website, bgarnproductions.com. That's BGARN Productions.com to listen to my podcasts, or I'm available almost anywhere that podcasts are available. So you can listen to me anyway. Until next time, bye.